pushing alcohol. Oh.
I just totally break your teeth. Oh, delicious. All right.
That's what I needed.
Same. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Polite as Fuck.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
How's it going?
Losing my mind. We have a fun 10 and 10 today. Well, I think it's fun. Since we, in light of our new Pope, what is his name? Robert?
Richard?
Richard? Our word, first American Pope. Whoop-de-woo. Anyway, I told Erica we should do a list of our popes. Like, if we had popes to choose from, who would be our pope in our own religion? I can go first. Because I have a good one. My first one is Rihanna.
Oh! Wait, okay, we don't even need to do anymore.
Yeah. Literally, done. That is my submission. No, but the Met Gala, when this comes out, it'll be kind of like past, but her outfit and her revealing she's pregnant again. I don't know if you saw any of this because you're off, but like her outfit was my favorite outfit. Her in,
ASAP?
yes, but the other one I was thinking of is Victoria Monet, I think is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was there and I love both of theirs. Anyway, she is just, I was asking Erica, like, what does a pope do? Funny, because I'm the one was supposed to be Catholic. And she was just like, moral guide. And I was like, if there's anyone that's going to steer me in the right direction, it's Rihanna.
It's Bad Girl Riri.
It's like, what?
Obviously. Wow, that's so good. I would follow her. I guess in my mind, too, a pope is like the universally acknowledged leader.
Yeah. So she could be that.
She could be that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the president. Like, I wouldn't...
No.
Not that I don't think she'd make a great president. This is
but
just
it's like a moral... It's like what you were saying before this. Like, you know who the Pope is.
Yeah.
Even
everyone
though...
knows who the Pope is.
Right.
And, like, respects, in a way, I think. Maybe.
Or just sees it as, like, a figure... Like, a person of, like, I don't know, who's in charge. I don't literally know. But I think, that's my Pope. One of my popes.
Well, now I don't want to say any, but... Ashley Graham, who I've listened to one interview of.
No, I like her.
I feel like she would be a good pope too, because I'm like
inspiring.
Yeah, so confident.
Sexy.
Yeah, all positive. I feel like she has a great head on her shoulders and would guide us in a good direction.
I love that. My next one is specifically Hermione. I mean, I love Emma Watson, but I just feel like older Hermione would just get it. She would be a rallying point. Yeah. I just think she would be a great pope. Like, really.
I didn't know we were doing fictional characters.
She's my only one, I think. Yeah.
That is a good choice. I do agree.
It was one of the first ones that came to my mind, so I was like, fuck it.
This is the only man that I have on my list, and it's Noah Kahan. And
he'd make a good pope.
I feel like he would just be so good. He's just such a wholesome guy. Yeah. He was my top artist on Spotify, and you know how they like send or like they
their
play
little videos. Yeah.
And I was like, wait,
we're best friends. Are we FaceTiming right now? Yeah.
And I feel like his music is inspiring, and I feel like he could have insightful things to say.
Relatable, gone through some stuff, but still like chill.
Yeah.
I like that one. My next one, Anna Kendrick. I just feel like her whole vibe, she's just like a boss bitch. She's not going to take shit, but she's also like, I feel like morally sound, you know? Yeah. I feel like she's not going to like be a pushover.
Yeah.
She may not be, she's kind of like Rihanna, where she's not like all like, but it's, you know, it's more like, which is my kind of pope anyway.
I do agree. That's a good one. I forget about her sometimes. My third one was Viola Davis. After reading her autobiography, I literally was like, I can never complain about anything ever again. Has had the hardest life, I think, I've ever heard of. And is so inspiring. And I feel like just reading her book, like throughout, she doesn't do like the woe is me type thing. And is just very much like, this happened, this is what I did because of it. And I feel like I could learn a lot from her.
Wow, I never read her book. I did not know any of this. I just like know who she is.
Yeah, she was like, it's a lot. Her childhood is horrible.
I do love her, so I'm sure that will only add to the love.
Yeah.
Definitely on that. I love that. Suzanne Collins is my next one, the writer of The Hunger Games. I just think I was trying to not do another fictional character, so I was like, one, she has an imagination. She can like come up with stuff. She clearly had to like do a lot of research in order to like come up with this like fantasy world. That's like low key kind of what we're heading into. So I feel like she could somewhat rally us all together to not end up freaking trying to like kill kids for fun. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
which I think we can all get behind.
Because I feel like she wrote the script for that, so she knows what not to do.
Exactly.
To get there.
She's like, hey guys, no. Let's
This is
stop.
bad.
Yeah.
Do you know who Naomi Osaka is? The tennis player?
Younger Japanese. She's like younger than us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's also my Pope.
No, I love that. I love her. And I'm so glad I know who that is. That makes me so happy. Because I was like, oh, really? Come on, Ellie, think about it.
No,
you know.
that was good. That was good. She
I love that.
is iconic. And I feel like I'm not even into tennis, but when I was on Instagram, I followed her and all of her content. She was just so kind and like very humble and would have like bad matches or whatever, but like I don't know, just her mindset and the way she would frame things. And I feel like being a professional athlete, you have to like understand hard work, but I do think we've talked about this before, sometimes that comes with like an ego or a self-centeredness. Obviously I don't know this woman, but I don't get that vibe from her. She also like has a kid, is or was dating or married to what's that guy's name?
Clearly no.
The singer, doesn't matter, but I think he's funny. And anyway, that's my pitch for our young Pope.
I love that. Going in the opposite direction for my last one, I was really trying to think of someone like older that I look up to, and the first person that came to my mind was Jane Fonda. I just like, that was when I was sitting on the couch and I was like, who's that? And I was like, nope, I got it. I just think like, I don't know, I've always loved everything, like all of the interviews, all of these things that she's been a part of, her movies, like she's...
Not me Googling Jane Fonda.
I really like her, and she was the first like older lady that I look up to that's still alive.
What is she in?
The first movie that I can think of is with J-Lo, the Bridezilla one, but she's in a ton of shit.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen Grace and Frankie, but I've heard it's really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that kind of stuff. She's mostly like, when I think about her, I mostly think of like her activism. Like she does a lot of, and has done for her entire like life, a lot of like activism and putting herself out there alongside like other, like using her platform. So I feel like what better person that's kind of like has lived a long life and is not mellowed out. Like she's still an activist. You know, you just gain perspective, and I don't know. I'm like really trying to pitch this. Like I really got into it there for a second. Okay? I'm like, Ellie, this is a fake game that you made up. Jane Fonda is not gonna listen to this. All right.
Oh, you made me think of like other people that I didn't have on my list. So I do want to give an honorable mention to Hilary Duff, because I feel like when you said Anna Kendrick, I was like, wait, Hilary Duff. We just watched the Lizzie McGuire movie and Timeless. There are old shows that you go back to. That you're like, not good. That movie is still so good. But I didn't want to say that one, so I'm saying another one, which is Cher, because you made me think of her when you just said whoever you just said.
Yes, Jane Fonda. I was thinking of Cher too, but yeah, icon.
She's been like my Pinterest board lately, and she is just stunning and such a good singer, and has incredible hardships also, and is also just coming out on the other side inspirational from it. And yeah.
Well, look at us.
I'm sweating.
It is really hot, dude. Summer is gonna be tough.
Yeah, we're gonna need to lock the doors and turn up the AC, because this is crazy.
So that you can't find us.
So that you can't get in. Anyway, that was fun.
That was fun. I'm like so surprised that worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm putting down my... It's getting serious. Actually, I am gonna put this down. I think that kind of, when you were talking about the Naomi, the tennis player, you describing it, I didn't want to say it because we weren't like quite ready to introduce the topic yet, but I was like, when I think of her and why I like her and why I relate to her so much, is her emotional intelligence, which is what we're talking about today. Erica came up with this topic, and that's what I wanted to say, is like, it just seems that how young she is, she's always had this kind of like aura about her. And so I think that like kind of perfectly segues into the conversation today around emotional intelligence, which I did not realize there were like, I mean, I know what emotional intelligence is, but like there are a lot of components, there's a lot of things that go into it, there's a lot of like research around it and things like that. And I don't know, I'm really interested to hear why you wanted to talk about this. Because I think it was like left field, but I also have a lot to say on it too, because I've really been trying to look inward recently, and I feel like that is a very like that's like the foundation of emotional intelligence. So yeah.
This came about because of life things that I don't want to talk about on the podcast that are going on right now, but in my therapy session she had said like, oh, it sounds like they don't have a high EQ. And that made me think, I was like, yeah, they don't. And then I was like, what does that mean? I know I know the concept of emotional intelligence, but I think after that therapy session, I was like, oh yeah, they don't have it and I do. But then I was like, wait, I don't know that I have the highest EQ either. Not that I don't think I have emotional intelligence, but the AI overview on Google says the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both your own and those of others. And I think that, I don't know if you took that little test that I sent you.
I did.
It was really, like, kind of, it refreshed. It was really...
Fuck, I wonder if mine is going to refresh too. I think I can remember what it was, though.
Okay. My score was 71.
Yeah, mine was like 73, I think, somewhere around there.
I was like, okay, so we're passing.
See?
We got to see.
We got to see.
C's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Back at it.
But I definitely thought that I maybe, and this is obviously not like Psychology Today 20 question quiz, but I'm gonna use
strongly agree, strongly disagree. It's like, I hate these. Because it's like, I don't know. Can you give me a scenario?
Yeah, tell me the example exactly.
And
then I'll tell you how I'll respond.
And how did he say it? First of all, no. Yeah. Well, there goes my emotional intelligence right out the window.
Just immediate blame the man. No, but I think that it was also just like a recognition of where I still have room to grow, because I think as I get older, I just assume that like I go to therapy and I journal and I do all these things and I'm like always trying to better myself. But then I'm like, wait, what are the specific things that I don't do well with or can actually improve upon? And I saw this image that has like a side for low emotional intelligence and a side for high emotional intelligence.
Oh.
Do you want me to tell you what they say and then you tell me how you feel about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how they're categorized, and maybe we'll talk about this later, like what makes up emotional intelligence, but the low side is aggressive, demanding, egotistical, bossy, and confrontational. Well, I could say all of those things about myself, but then I go on the high side and it says assertive, ambitious, driven, strong-willed, decisive. And I'm like, I think I just define those things the same, I guess, in my mind.
Yeah, literally the same exact thing.
Like aggressive and assertive, how do you differentiate those? Is it maybe because my EQ so low? I don't know.
No. In this scenario, my first thought is like, a man made this and described woman traits and put them on the low side, and then described male traits and then put them on the right side, and was like, assertive versus aggressive. That's like, those are like the trigger words. So that's like where my mind first goes. But then like when I was like, I love a diagram, so I am right there with you on like all of these like little
graphics.
Yeah, graphics and things. But to my like understanding with everything, I was just like, what's the word, like act out, like just not being able to like regulate. That was like a key word that I saw, like being like just regulation and all of that. And I know we can go like through the components and stuff, but it just seems like everybody, no matter who you are, whether or not you have emotional intelligence or not, like you are gonna have emotions, like they're there whether you can name them or not. So when I like hear that, it's like the one side is like having that range of emotion and then not being able to name it, reframe it, whatever. What was my other word that I just used? the key word.
Regulate.
Thank you. And then the other side of it is like still being able to like have your boundaries, which some people label as like assertive or aggressive. That's like when I hear those words, that's what I think of. But you're also able to like name your emotions, regulate your emotions, have empathy, which is like one of the core things. So it's like, that's what I think of, but it's just so hard, which we can get into. But yeah.
I feel like that one's the hardest, and I wish I knew what this like red, there's like a little red guy like jumping up, and I'm like, what does he mean? Because the yellow guy is for low emotional intelligence, easily distracted, glib. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Selfish, poor listener, impulsive. And the high is warm, enthusiastic, sociable, charming, persuasive.
So what are the red, yellow, and green people? So like what's high mean? Like are those good or bad?
I think high is good. High emotional
but it's yellow.
intelligence.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, so maybe we need to go to the blue guy because he's calm. He has his hands on his stomach.
Oh, is it maybe red is like anger? Like when you have high emotional... I'm just going to start saying EQ because a bitch can't speak. When you're angry and you have like high EQ, you act those ways. And then yellow, what the fuck is yellow? Sleepy?
Okay, we're done with this diagram.
Okay.
I'm over it. I'm so done. I was like, these are good words to talk about, but what does emotional intelligence consist of, Ellie?
Oh my God. I feel like I was just popcorned in class.
Read the other graphic?
No, I have my own. I'm like, oh man. And the full name, well, if you said Elizabeth,
Ellie.
that would be crazy. I feel like we don't really say each other's names. We've talked about this. Okay, no. So I did not know that these were like the core core components of EQ, which I think helped me like kind of put myself in where I'm at with my emotional intelligence. So the first one is empathy, and then effective communication or social skills. Third one is self-awareness, self-regulation, and then motivation. Are those the same ones on your little graph? So I was talking to a friend today about this kind of conversation and just being like, I don't know, just getting insight and seeing what other people have to say about it. And I was just kind of saying that, to be honest, I really don't think I've ever thought about my EQ until like pretty recently. And then once thinking about it, like in terms of thinking about these words like social skills, empathy, blah, 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 like I really don't think I gained any of this until like 3
months ago.
Yeah. 2 days ago. And I'm just thinking like, I don't think that, I think there's a lot of things. My mind is moving really fast. I think the first thing is like, keep in mind, like, we're still pretty young. Like, our brains were developed 3-4 years ago. So it's like, okay, that may make up for it because, like, you always have your, like, lizard brain. And to me, when I think of emotional intelligence, it's like you're either acting on, like, your human brain or you're acting on your lizard brain. Like, you're not able to, like, understand, or you're in this, like, really weird fight or flight mode all the time. Or you're, like, actually able to, like, regulate, love that word, or you know, like you're using your full frontal lobe. And then I started thinking like, okay, trauma must play so much into emotional intelligence because like empathy, like self-awareness, self-regulation, like that shit is hard. Like if you don't know how to like journal or go for a run or express yourself in any way because you were fucking whatever as a kid, like that shit is hard. Like I also think like I moved around constantly, so it's like I'm trying to find my identity as well as like that's like self-awareness as like a young age, like that's gonna have something to do with it. Anyway, before I go on this like long-winded tangent, it's just like I envision this as like a spider web of like so many things being connected. But my main point, and bear with me as we circle back here, is like when I often think of emotional intelligence now, it's when I'm dating, and it's most of the time when I'm referring to the other person I'm trying to date and the lack of their EQ. But now I'm like, well, fuck, is me constantly looking at your EQ me not being to like able to like empathize and a show of like my lack of emotional intelligence. I don't know. That's kind of like where I circled back as like, oh shit, well, if I have all of this spider web stuff from my EQ, the person I'm trying to date or that I'm interested in also has a spider web of this shit that relates to their EQ, and then yada yada yada. Anyway, that's where my mind went through all of that.
No, that makes sense. I think I was reading this article on my phone keeps timing out, it's really annoying, helpguide.org, and a lot of the things that it was saying were around like stress, because like when you have a stressful situation, your emotions play out in a certain way depending on how your EQ is. And I think in like dating, as even though it's not like necessarily a negative stress, it is stressful to like meet someone for the first time. You have expectations that you're also not trying to have. You're just trying to meet a person, but you're also like, don't want to spend time with this person. I think it can bring out sides of people. That's why sometimes the first date is just like, all right, whatever. Like
it's like not the first date, because you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, because you're like, deep down, do I feel like there's something there, or like there's a person that I want to get to know, or was there literally nothing? Because I've kind of, and maybe this is wrong, but I've kind of come to accept that like people are going to talk about themselves because they are trying to make an impression and they don't really know what to say. And I think the big thing is like the questions, like, are they wanting to actually understand you too, or literally just keep talking about themselves? And like body language, and I don't know, how do you respond to directness? But one thing that you had said in like circumstances with stress, or like how to regulate your emotions, I think a big thing that I'm still like working on is being able to like understand that I need to step away, or that I need like space, because I think even if I realize that, it can be hard for me to articulate, or I get so caught up in like what this other person is gonna think or feel or something, so I like stick around a situation longer than I want to, even though I know deep down I like don't want to be in that setting or talking to that person or whatever it is. So I feel like that's how it's played out for me in dating, maybe, is like I feel like I have awareness of what I need or want, but I don't necessarily know how to like act on it.
Well, this is what I was telling my friend today, is like, I honestly think that even though I'm probably the most like emotional intelligent I've been, just because I think that that is what happens when you grow and you live. But I think that mine, and I want to make a generalization of like people's EQ is higher when they're in, okay, wait, this is going to be crazy, but like when they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because like you really have to like tie your life to that person in a way, depending on how serious you are. And I think like because of, you know, what I was just saying of like self-reflection recently, and really trying to like look inward and doing like what do you call that when you like talk to your little kid self? Inner child work. It's going well, if you guys can't tell.
That's good.
That's like doing all of this work is like, oh, okay, like I'm really trying, but also I have recently, because I have not been on any dates or dating really anyone, I've been so selfish. I've been consumed, which is fine, which I love for myself. Like, this is great. But based on the episode that we had last week, and like summer's rolling around, and I really want to just like kind of practice allowing like other people, whether it be friends or opportunities or partners, to like come in. You really do have to become a little bit more like what's the word? What's empath? Like Empathetic, thank you. I just like couldn't say it like phonetically correctly. Anyway, I hate it. Anyway, that's my thought.
No, that's a really good point. I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like before I started dating again last year with like intention in mind, I was like, I'm perfect. Like, I've done all this work. I feel great. I feel like I can hold my own in social settings. I feel like I have boundaries. I know what I want. And then it's not until you actually like put that into practice with other people and you have triggering situations that you're like, oh, that's not actually healed, or like I still need to work on whatever it is, because I feel like you can work on yourself to an extent, but if you want to like have EQ with anyone else, you have to involve other people in that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of like my revelation that I had, because I'm like, well, damn, good. Like you really do have to like interlace yourself with these people, and you have to have like the ability to do so. And I feel like these 5 components is that. So I read an article on Harvard, and the article is really just all about emotional intelligence, but at the end it's gives some really good examples on how to like improve emotional intelligence if that's something that like you need, which we probably all do. But it does break down the 5 components, which we don't really need to. I feel like they're like, I don't know, it you can kind
self-explanatory.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I cannot think of words. But kind of like to the graphic that you were talking about at the beginning, this one gives like really good bullet points on people with low EQ. Often feels misunderstood, gets upset easily, become overwhelmed by emotions, and have problems being assertive, which I think we can all relate to. And then people with high EQ understand the links between their emotions and how they behave, remain calm and composed during stressful situations, are able to influence others towards a common goal, handle difficult people with tact and diplomacy. Well, diplomacy. This article seems to be a little bit geared more towards like workforce, which is maybe why they're like, oh, influence other people towards a common goal, yada yada. But I'm like, damn, like I really have a tendency to fly off the handle, and I feel like flashback to January, which was a really fucking tough month, like I had to do a lot of work of like, I told myself my fucking resolutions for the year were to like be able to control myself and stop being so literally in a chokehold of what other people think of you. And I feel like, is that not low emotional intelligence? Like I'm not able to be assertive. I'm just kind of like, I just want to do whatever's gonna blah 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 blah. And then I was faced with fucking thing after thing after thing where it was like, I did, to be honest, fly off the fucking handle. Like when I got my flat tire, which people get all the time, I lost my shit. I was so upset. I was like, the world,
it is annoying.
It is and I was just like, oh my god. But I really just had to like sit with it and be like, okay, Ellie, like shut the fuck up. You're in this situation. What are you gonna do about it? And like that to me is like, it may not be like the highest emotional intelligence level, you know, because I'm still flying off the handle, but it's like, at least I'm reframing, which, another buzzword, killing it.
You are killing it. No, I think that like is exactly what this sentence is saying in the help guide is, in order to build EQ and become emotionally healthy, you must reconnect to your core emotions, accept them, and become comfortable with them. And you can achieve this through the practice of mindfulness, blah, 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 blah. It talks about like different things you can do to regulate. But I feel like that's the thing, is like recognizing that you're having those emotions and then not being like, you're a piece of shit for experiencing that, or think like beating yourself up for it. Just being like, okay, yes, and I'm not saying this is the thought process that's going on in your brain, but like, I'm upset. Like, what can I do to help myself right now because I'm upset?
Yeah.
And like being able to check in with yourself instead of like just spiraling in your own emotion and not really recognizing it for what it is or what you need in that moment.
Yeah.
But I think the piece about like social, going back to like, okay, you are aware of your emotion, you're regulating, you're figuring out what you need in that moment. The next part of this is the social awareness piece that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just talking about how people are like, yeah, I can multitask. You're like, yeah, I'm listening to you, but I can also do other things, whatever. It goes back to that mindfulness and like actually being present. And I just felt like these 3 bullet points were a helpful reminder. You're actually more likely to further your social goals by setting other thoughts aside and focusing on the interaction itself. Like pushing your own emotions away and just like trying to
being
like
in the moment.
Yeah. Following the flow of another person's emotional responses is a give and take process that requires you to also pay attention to the changes in your own emotional experience, which I think is kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like dating, of like, okay, we're going back and forth, checking in with myself. How am I feeling right now? Like, do I want to keep going down this path of whatever this interaction is that I'm having right now?
Yeah. That reminds me of The Wedding People, the conversation that we just had about like the ending of like, not kind of spoiler alert to that book, but like the main like message of that is just being like, not, she just constantly has to check her toes. Like you just constantly have to check yourself, and that's life.
That is honestly such a good book, and I feel like is so relevant to EQ, because I think a lot of what she experienced, like what she's unlearning throughout that book or just becoming more aware of, is how she was so in her head about everything and like what everyone else wanted and how she was supposed to be, and like maintaining that appearance or thought, or like how her mannerisms are, and never like actually understanding what she was feeling or wanting or needing, or even voicing that. And I feel like that's such a good reminder, and like so hard. I think even if I do check in with myself to actually act upon it, it's really hard. But the last point is, paying attention to others doesn't diminish your own self-awareness. By investing the time and effort to really pay attention to others, you'll actually gain insight into your own emotional state as well as your values and beliefs. For example, if you feel discomfort hearing others express certain views, you'll have learned something important about yourself.
Ooh, interesting sentence for this time of the year.
I don't think it's saying like you need to agree, but like, oh, I hate that you said that. Maybe that means we're not aligned.
That, and like, especially in this climate, like, I don't know, I can easily tell the people with high EQ and the people without EQ based on a conversation, whether or not our opinions are the same or not.
Yeah.
Because who's getting like riled up, who's getting pissed off, and who's just like literally like, you know what? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just what that made me think of.
No.
I don't think it's like that you can be taking that in anything, friendships, relationships, anything, but I just think right now where my mind is at when I hear something like that, I'm like, different views, that's like so tough. And I think it is true, like people's EQ is being put to the test.
Yeah.
Everybody's. And like, especially like, I don't know, still being able to like forge relationships and friendships and family shit and be able to like keep it all together while it's a lot. And it's happening with everybody. Sorry, I keep interrupting you as soon as you start to go to say
I do
something.
think that's like a test though, is like, can you share your boundaries but also be like, okay, I know we have different points of view. This is what I need in order to still have a relationship with you, but I love you and I want to have a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. It's just so tough. It's so hard, because it's like people can say stuff that if you get me on my soapbox, I will not shut up about. Or like, actually, I was having this conversation the other day with a coworker, and he was just talking about how he wasn't sure what he should do in the situation, and I said I would rather have someone be upset with me and know that I, like, in my mind did the like morally right thing than to not say anything, because I don't want to like stir the pot, or like, I don't know, my life is easier if I just shut up and don't say anything, but it like doesn't, like, it won't sit well with me, and like things could get worse if nothing is said. I know it's like vague context, but I do feel like sometimes you just have to do something and not like be so concerned about how people are going to react.
True. And I also think that in itself is like your moral compass is like showing how high your EQ is. Like the fact that something in you is telling you like, no, this is like something morally is telling me, like, you're not doing it for a gain, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, you're not doing anything for your own gain. Like, something is telling you to do something or act on something or whatever. Like, I think when you have that, like, when your gut is telling you something, like your intuition, like, I think that is like high emotional intelligence for sure.
Yeah, because you're not doing something for like popularity or likes or whatever it is. It's like, no, I like, this is wrong or this is right, and I'm going to do something about it. Mm-hmm. But now as I'm saying this, I'm like, but people really believe.
I know, that's like a fine line, because I was about to be really like, snitches get stood around here, but keep your mouth shut. No, it's tough, and that's why I say it gets like a gut. you just have to, like, every person is different. Like, even you and I could be faced, like, we're both, like, I think morally good people, but could be faced with the same situation and act on it differently based on, like, what our gut is saying. So it's just tough, and I understand that. My mind, when I think about this stuff, and because of where my head's at, can't help but kind of, one, look inward on my emotional intelligence, and then really see, like, what it is I'm looking for in someone else's, like, emotional intelligence when it comes to, like, dating specifically. Because, like, you really have to do a lot of the work. Like, recently I got back on Hinge, and it's just, like, going through the prompts and, like, putting yourself, like, on this, like, piece of paper and just making yourself very 2D, which I have a problem doing. Like, I feel like there's so many complexities. So I just think, like, oh, fuck, I just lost my train of thought. I had such a good idea. Like, I really did.
It's okay, you'll get it back.
Hold up. I don't know what I was going to say, but I just, I know. I fucking hate when that happens. Just, like, the fact that, like, I'm so complex and there's so many things that, like, I have to show. So I really have to, like, bear that in mind when I'm, like, seeking out other people and what it is I am looking for, and just being very, like, truthful to myself and very honest, like, checking in with myself, like you just said, because I think that I have a tendency to just kind of, like, do whatever and be like, especially with summer. Like, you just find yourself being, this is what we were talking about last episode. You just, like, find yourself in these situations. Like, I want to steer clear of that and stay true to myself. But at the same time, it's like, I have to, like I just said, I fly off the handle. Like, am I being in check with myself? Like, when something comes up, how am I gonna, you know what it's just all of that when it pertains to dating.
How would you say, and I will answer it too, to, like, put yourself on blast, when you're having, like, a low EQ moment, what does that look like?
A low EQ moment? Oh my God, girl. Did you not see my freak out when this shit fell on my toe? When that mirror fell on? Oh, I was done. Like, I rage. No, I think... Oh God, it's gonna be such a red flag. But hey, this podcast.
Said we have passing grades, so that means we have some bad in there.
Yeah. I use this phrase, like, I see red, and, like, you either get it or you don't. But, like, I literally I go blind. Like, I see red. Like, I am in hell. Like, red flames. Like, I get so angry. Like, I can start slamming doors. Like, I need to breathe right now. I don't know what
She's
it is.
channeling it.
I really can. Like, I'm about to fire bend. Like,
oh God.
I'm watching Avatar. Anyway, yeah, just kind of this, like, I don't know, that just makes me sound so aggressive. I get, like, rage tears, and I kind of just get more, like, anger, like, on the inside. Like, I'll slam stuff, but I really haven't slammed anything since living with you, because I'm like, it's been so, like, helpful, honestly, a boundary, because it's like, you cannot just be slamming shit when you live with your friends. Like, I mean, I probably shouldn't have done that at my, auntie's house either, but I'm like, it's different, but it's just like, I'm not gonna do that. So I really am just like, channel.
Yeah, it's funny because I just feel like we're so opposite in that way. Like, I feel like I just shut down and get, like,
closed off, like,
more and more closed off, and just, like,
see you already, like, disappearing into the couch. Like that Homer Simpson gif where it's like,
into the bush.
Yeah, into the bush. But with, like, a sad face on, or, like, a nothing on your face. You're just like,
But I do think it's interesting because, like, people usually, when I act that way, will either, like, give me the space or gently be like, hey. And it's not healthy, because I do think, like, Erica, speak your emotions. Sometimes I just don't even know how to articulate what I'm feeling, though, and that's the issue. But then, if people continue to do the thing that they're doing that made me that way in the first place, it, like, flips the switch, and then I'm like, shut the fuck up! I can't take it anymore. It's like all the buildup that was happening internally because I wasn't expressing anything then comes out in, like...
I don't think I've ever seen you freak out.
I'm
trying to think of the closest time. Like, same, I don't think you've ever experienced, like, a crazy freak out of mine, but I'm trying to think of something that's, like, relatively close.
And maybe that's not how I am anymore, because I'm thinking of like college Erica and psychotic. She was psychotic.
But then again, it's like I said at the beginning, like your lizard brain is still right there. Like your EQ is going to be low because you literally can't self-regulate. Like you literally don't know what you're doing. Your self-awareness is like, I know I'm feeling some type of way in my gut and I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to rage. Yeah. And you're also probably surrounding yourself with people that are not matching your EQ either.
No. Your brain's also not really developed yet at that age until you're 25.
I know. Now we have zero excuses. There's nothing. There's nothing we can say.
Yeah. I just vividly remember this like temper tantrum I threw with my ex in college, and like I was like on the floor like pounding my fists, sobbing, and I vividly remember that, and just like what was I doing? What was I doing?
Oh, I'd be screaming. Oh my god, I can't even say mine. It's just like
I feel like we've come so far.
The key to all of this is like we were in relationships, so it's like, you know, they really I know
it's the man's
fault. The man's fault. No, but I think like it does teach you, like, not that your EQ goes down, but like goddamn, you really learn so much when you try to put yourself in someone else's life and vice versa. Like it's hard.
Yeah. There were 3 like tips in relationship management for EQ that I felt like were helpful.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good way to end.
And one of them was use humor and play to relieve stress, which I think can be like easier said than done, but trying to like, obviously you're not like making a joke at someone's expense, but like in a stressful situation, maybe I'm thinking about after Ellie got her flat tire, I also got a flat tire, and then I was like, I have to go coach. Can you come fix my tire? And like, I don't know, in the situation that we were in at the time, I feel like I was trying to make it like humorous, and I feel like that helped because I could tell that he was not having a great time. Another thing is to learn to see conflict as an opportunity to grow closer to others.
Ooh, okay.
It's really hard. Yeah. I can tell that that's like, you maybe have 100% EQ.
Yeah, you're always like strongly agree or whatever. Like,
yeah. Because I'm like, that is goals. To be able to see that as like, and I actually have been seeing it a little bit in some of the shows I've been watching of people being able to be like, in their marriages or whatever, in the instances of like, this is something that we're struggling with right now, and I really want to understand where you're coming from so that we can grow closer together. And I'm like,
the problem with that is like, I don't think I have an idea on how like to properly have like a fight with someone. Like, how do you, like, those shows are so unrealistic because it's like, yeah, there's a common goal, and of course there's going to be friction when you're figuring it out, and then suddenly it's like, oh yay. It's like when I try to do that with someone, it's like, oh well, 2 years ago you said this, and I'm like, what?
But that's their low EQ.
That's true. Anyway, continue.
The last thing was becoming aware of how effectively you use nonverbal communication, which is interesting. And it says the emotional part of your brain is always on, and even if you ignore its messages, others won't. Recognizing the nonverbal messages that you send to others can play a huge part in improving your relationships, which I think that we've talked about before. I think we can both have a little RBF sometimes. I think that when I'm like really frustrated, you can see it all over my face. And it's like, not to make this more stressful, I think there's obviously steps before you're worrying about this piece, in my mind. Mm-hmm. Also, that's so distracting.
Bash is just digging a little bed for herself.
So maybe that's why this is like the last thing on here, because it's like, being able to be aware of your emotions, check in with yourself, understand what you need, but then also be aware enough to be like, how am I conveying that verbally and non-verbally?
Yeah.
That's a lot, and I don't say it as like a way to try and overwhelm anyone. I just think these are like interesting maybe like goals to have or things to like work up to if building your EQ is important to you. But going back to what you said in the beginning, a lot of this is caused by how you were raised, different like circumstances, like traumas. And I think it's like that is the base of where you have to start, because you can't be like worrying about your facial expressions if you also you haven't processed like a traumatic event in your life. I feel like there's such a huge disconnect there.
That's so true.
And that's my tangent on EQ.
No, I love that. I just was going to say too, this is like not important and we can cut it out, but my mom came to visit and she pointed out that I have not a staring problem, but like she had just made it seem that like I really have, I like to call it the Latin gaze. And it's just like, I'm so general is like, so whatever. I don't give a fuck about words right now, but like, I just will like stare off at someone, or if I like, and looking at your tattoos or your outfit, or like you're walking by, like my brain is just really trying to like process. And so I literally will have like my face on and be thinking about all these other things, but I'll literally lock eye contact with somebody or something. And my mom is like, she will be like looking around like, you know that person? I'm like, what? No. And so like, I'm really trying to like be better about it. But I really like, since she said it and me thinking about it, like these past few weeks, it's like really just my brain being able to process. And I have a tendency to just like find something that's like comforting or that I like while I'm like trying to think. I find this a lot when I'm at work of like, oh, okay, I need to go get this and do this or do this. So my brain is running, but I'm looking at someone, and it's like hella uncomfortable, of course, but it's like I need to like figure out like why it is like I'm doing that, and like what is it, I don't know. So to your point of like what is the cause that's making that happen, and of course like my resting bitch face, but if I'm gonna be honest, like that's never gonna go away.
I am not looking for a perfect score, because I feel like then I would be a monk or something. I would be the Pope. I would be the Pope.
You would be the Pope. Full circle.
Wow. That's all I have to say.
Yep. What a great way to end.
Anyway, hopefully that ramble made you, I don't know, whatever it made you
feel.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you have episode ideas, feel free to send them to us. Polite as Fuck Podcast on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.